Hello and welcome to Podaholiks. Sit back, relax, and get ready for a podcast that is going to inform, educate, and entertain. And you're going to want to share it with as many people as you know.
Oh, I wonder what that red light was. Nice.
Carclinic time. Glenn Power, Sundance Automotive, James Piecowye, and the show begins right now.
The press of a red button. That's new. We've got 7 more empty spaces there.
Yeah, well, this is button set 2. There's a whole one set that's already filled with stock stuff, but yeah, no.
We've got any like animal farm animal noises?
Yeah,
and stuff?
we're gonna do that.
Cheese.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna program them all in. It's gonna be extraordinary, as this podcast always is.
Yeah, I mean, you shot me with the red button. Really, we've dived straight in.
I know.
So I was about to tell you that I don't know what I'm going to do today. I've been listening to Brian Greene and Sean Carroll talk about the finer points of the universe, and everything we do is just pointless.
Here we go. That's what we're doing, right? So it's.
So I've given up. So you just talk at me, and I'll just sort of.
Well, it's it's car clinic, so we're talking about cars. We're talking about things that are going on around us. We're talking about the nitty gritty, dirty. And it's not necessarily dirty, but it is. You get dirty when you get around a car. It's like every time I do the basics right. I fill up my windshield wiper washer stuff. I take a look at the coolant. I'm obsessed with coolant, so I'm always checking coolant levels. And every time, and my car's pretty clean. Like it's been to the garage. You guys have done a nice job cleaning up under the hood. I can actually see things on my engine decals. The guys must open that up and said, "What has gone on here?" It's like nothing. Someone had to go in with a rag because they clearly didn't.
We've had vehicles where we've refused to work on them because they've been dirty, Jim. So you're not at that level. So don't worry about it.
Well, the guys actually ran the rag over stuff, so it was nice. It's clean underneath now.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're going to use a dirty and if we're using that as a segue, if we're going to segue into our podcast with the phrase dirty, then you remember when the Golden Ray capsized in Georgia with those Kia and GM vehicles on it. So somebody's been down there, and there's some incredible pictures.
Really?
Of just cars just covered in what looks like coral already and just floating around.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, apparently they're getting them out. And
one by one.
This article does list how they expect and intend to do that. However, I didn't get past the pictures because they're amazing.
I mean, it would be a diver's paradise, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's really like weird to see. Really, really strange. I mean, because they're covered in coral and other deposits from being under the water. It's not that long ago.
No. But that's the thing. Stuff grows so quick on these cars. And I'm just thinking someone wants to pull these things out because they want to figure out how can I start selling off pieces of these vehicles.
There's going to be a lot of potential for the grey market.
Can you imagine?
Slight water damage on the import papers.
Oh, man. Can you imagine? But you can imagine it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I can absolutely imagine.
What was the big one? Was it Katrina?
Yeah.
There was a lot from that. Yeah. And then... cars completely, not just water damage, but rolled over in the water. Yeah. So fully submerged and spinning around for hours that were then shipped out.
The grey market here in the UAE, I thought the grey market had been, a nice big damper had been put on it. I'm not so sure it has.
It's kind of just turning a little bit into a black market. The authorities are doing everything they can, but which
is amazing because they really are working hard.
They are doing a great job on it, but unfortunately there will be the odd one that gets through because not everybody's honest and that unfortunately just happens. They can't check everything. Yeah, that's impossible.
And when you start looking at some of the things that are being sold, and let's face it, the black market in auto parts and in auto things and in cars is global. This is not a unique to the Middle East or Asia. This is a global industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you must see fakes that come into you where at times you've had to question something.
Yeah, we've had the worst one is just because it's a car I like, but we had a 911. It was a 997, and it was an American import, and it had apparently been sort of made aware to the people buying the car that yes, it had some slight water damage, but it's been repaired, and it wasn't a total loss from the insurance in the States. So, okay, fine, but it clearly hadn't. All of the control units had basically suffered with water damage, water ingress.
And that's it. They're done. If you've got a control unit with water, it's pretty much finished. They're like
and the problem is you can dry them out. Okay. You can dry them out, but I mean, it's just
kind of like a mobile phone. Put it in some rice.
Well, it's like anything, right? I wouldn't put it in rice, but I'm looking at my charging port on this phone. I mean, this phone's 2 years old, bless it, but it's green.
Right.
And that's just from condensation of being in my pocket and around, and I have to sometimes wiggle the charging connector to get it to do fast charge or whatever. So you can dry them out, but you'll never ever get rid of all that water. The water that goes in between the copper strands of the wire and the insulation will be there. It gradually, through capillary action, makes its way back to the control unit, and then you've got a problem. So that's the worst one I can remember. Just say a car that I really liked, and the wire had clearly been ripped off.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then you're talking thousands of dirhams to rectify it, because then what do you do?
There's nothing. It's here. The person you're trying to get a hold of, who you bought it from, email doesn't work. Phone's not being answered.
Put $50,000 down into a car and getting it here, and then what? You're going to throw it away?
And that's the classic one, right? And this is the automotive industry. This is any industry. If something sounds too good to be true, it is. Yeah. And this is that perfect example. Yeah, I'm going to get a Porsche. This is a 200,000 dirham car that I'm going to be picking up for 50,000. What is wrong with it? Nothing. Nothing.
Was it on the Golden Ray?
Yeah. And there's boom, done. That simple.
No, it's unfortunate. We're not the only industry, but because a car tends to be, for a lot of people, the biggest investment they make, especially in expats.
A car and a house. That's it.
For me, for people my age, especially in the UK, not many people my age that are buying houses.
Yeah.
Not now.
Well, I live with a bunch of folks who are next generation from you, and they keep saying to me, "You're going to head back to Canada? You're going to buy some property?" And it's like I miss the window on that.
Yeah.
And I said, I guess I could invest, but I said the equity period, the time period, typically you get your place when you're in your 20s. Then when you're in your 50s and 60s, you unload it, you downsize, and you cash in on your equity. I said I've been living here for 20 years. I didn't invest in real estate back home in that period.
Kids have got some good education though.
The kids have got great education. They're laughing.
So maybe they'll buy you a house.
I'm hoping. I'm going to live in. No, I'm slowly working my wife into the tiny home concept.
Oh, and I'm into it.
I am too.
Definitely into it. There's so many companies that do those prefab things.
Well, that's it. I've seen some really great prices too now. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking at this going, you offload all the junk you don't need anyway.
Yep.
And here we go.
Wind turbine, solar panels.
Yeah.
They're so efficient now. You can really actually do it.
And the other side is I've seen so many little areas where you're looking at lakes or things, and typically when people are looking, say you want to do the full retirement, you want to live on a lake, you run into the problem that how am I going to make that happen? And most times when people are getting a little older, and I'm thinking of my own parents who've got this giant house and they're talking, we're going to downsize to something that's still giant. It's like, what if you're on a lake and someone's got the big house and you just want a little piece over in the corner with this tiny home that could essentially be a trailer? That's going to be a lot easier to figure out how to get that into the plans of someone's property than it is to build a giant house. Because I just bring this thing in, put it on a pad, drop it down, hook up something, boom, it's done.
Yeah. You never see it. And the only people I know that have had a lake house are like the Sopranos.
Yeah.
they go more money than us.
Oh man. It's so I just don't get it. I just think of all the junk we have.
Small house is an incredible idea.
It's a way to do it. And they're efficient.
Yeah. If you can, and I've told you before, right? You can buy land in the UK that some of the land that you can buy comes with a title.
There you go.
So all of a sudden, you got a 40-foot container on a patch of land, and you're
in
Admiral Piecowye.
There we go. Well, we were looking at a place this summer, staying in Paris for a few days, and it's a 1900 bakery basically, and it's 50 square meters or something. I mean, it's tiny. It's tiny. But you look at it and the way they've done it, it's basically a small home. Yeah. It's got a little loft in it. It's got a little kitchen area. It's only two of us.
Yeah.
And what's the big deal?
There's some good ones. There was an exhibition of one of the more recent ones in, I want to say France, actually. But basically, they're relatively small, but it's all smart storage solutions that go into the wall and fit flush, and still got a private bathroom.
And that's the big thing. You got a door, you got a bathroom.
Yeah, enough to cook. Great idea.
Modular housing. So I think there's potential there.
Yeah.
But we were talking back to the counterfeiting and stuff. Brakes always get on my mind when I think of the potential to fake the boxing, and that's the thing.
That's
the people who are making the packaging get one that's real, and then just say, okay, replicate this for me. And then the product inside, hopefully, typically you can make it look the same. How do you as a mechanic, what chance do you have of catching that?
Well, a trained mechanic, you would think, has dealt with them.
They're going to see it
for long. I mean, being that I worked from basically all of my career till coming here with an agency, I only ever saw, apart from weekend work for friends and family, but I only ever saw genuine parts.
Okay.
So I had a very good understanding of what genuine meant. The quality, the finish, how, and you mentioned brakes, how they were finished and presented in the box. Yeah. So that made it very easy for me to then see a non-genuine part.
Okay, gotcha.
But then it would make it even more easy for me to see a fake part or a counterfeit part. And anyone that's got any experience will be able to do that. The problem comes when, maybe you think, I can buy these parts and the box is legit. It's got the hologram sticker.
But it's half the price.
YouTube, I bet you now, if I go into YouTube, you can name any vehicle. Yeah. I could type it in, brake change, Lincoln Navigator. Yeah. And there'll be countless mechanics, repair shops giving the procedure of changing brakes, and people watch them.
Well, you watch the YouTube.
Do that.
Yeah, you watch the YouTube.
So before you know it, you've got some fake brakes and you're trying to do the job yourself. You don't necessarily know how good the brakes should look or whether they're good or not, and then off you go. Yeah. So that's one of the problems these days. Everybody's got a forum to go on or a video to watch or a tutorial to read through, and they want to have a go. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to understand that, okay, where are these parts from? Can I trace that?
Well, that's it. And as soon as you can't trace it, the possibility of it failing on you. I mean, I don't want to. Brakes are one of those things. Brakes and tires. Yeah. I don't want to be driving on some dodgy tire, but I don't want to be driving with dodgy brakes either, because, And by the way, my wife is rather unhappy with you because the brakes on our vehicle work so well. Oh, no. And she basically accuses me of testing them constantly because I'll just like to speed up till we get to where we want to go, and then make sure those brakes are still working. She grabs the old crap handle there beside her. She's like, really? Do you need to do that? I said, testing the brakes.
Checking the brakes.
They're working still.
One of the sprinklers was on the road. They might be aquaplane. I need to check the brakes.
I need to check the brakes again.
Immense. Well, I apologise.
But the brakes are working
next time
really well.
I'll try and leave some air in the brake fluid for you.
But that's the last thing I want to happen is, or for anyone, is they're out there driving, they've got faulty brakes on, and they go in to use the brakes, and hold on, some counterfeit parts have been used, and boom. Or the other side that gets me a little worried, and I know a lot of people talk about there's lots of gray market garages around in any country. There's folks working out of their garage. Hey, I got a friend of a friend who's a mechanic by day, and he does some off the books work at night out of his place. I just get worried that what's the recourse to that? And look, I'm sure most of the time it's all on the up and up, and the person really does know what they're doing. But I get worried what if it's that one time that they were a little sleepy, they didn't know it, and you got no follow up, you got no check on it. Whereas at the garage, I take it in, the mechanic's looking at it, someone's going to give it a once over before it goes. Probably the person who's managing the garage, especially if they're a mechanic, or the head mechanic's going to give it a sign off on it. They might catch a little thing, and I'm inevitably, if you're looking over someone's work, inevitably you notice something at some point, 1 in 10, 2 in 10, and say, oh, hold on a second, did we get this? Or did we check that? Oh no, I didn't check that. Okay. If it's just someone doing it out of their garage and they're rushed because, hey, I need my car tomorrow, man, and here's that $50 and get it done, I just get worried. Yeah,
the thing is, I mean, I've done work on a weekend, so working in the agency Saturday and Sunday, sometimes I was busier than I was all week. Yeah. Especially once I'd start to progress through with my qualifications, the kind of work I was doing wasn't necessarily, let's say, spanner and hammer heavy. Right. So then you'd spend a lot of time contacting the factory over a particular issue or writing technical bulletins for new models and stuff. So these things, your job changes. But on the weekend, you'd be, doing proper sort of old school mechanical work for friends and family, where you've got to fix something because they don't want to pay you. Or they're not going to pay you, so you're not going to go buy something new, you'll fix it. Yeah. Now, we were lucky, and one of my colleagues hopefully will be coming here soon, and we'll have to get him on. But we were really lucky in that we had such a supportive management above us. They were aware of our ability and the work that we did and the performance we gave them all year, and to protect us from anything happening by doing these jobs on our driveway at home or someone's driveway at home, they'd let us use the workshop at the weekends, provided there was more than one of us in there for safety reasons. And wherever possible, we bought the parts through our part department.
Oh, that's
so
really
everything
nice.
was covered under insurance, and nothing's going to have. You're not going to have a situation on a Monday morning of the boss saying to David, "Where's Glenn? Oh, he's working on his dad's car at the weekend, and the jack broke. He trapped his leg."
Have you heard of that happening for people?
Yeah.
I've only heard anecdotally of that, but I can imagine the number of things like that.
One of my friends worked at an accident repair centre, and that happened to them quite a lot. They were just so busy they couldn't always have lifts, so they'd jack cars and stand cars.
Oh no!
So ever since that happened to him, he was of the practice of, whenever he took a wheel off and jacked the car up to take the wheel off, he'd put the wheel underneath with the stand and the jack.
Yeah.
So even if it knocked off the stand, there's chances of the diameter of a rim being 15, 16 inches, there's a good chance it'll fall on the rim.
Yeah.
And even if it lands on you, it's not all on you.
Yeah.
So I know somebody it's happened to.
Oh, man.
But yeah, the boss was like, I don't want that to happen to you guys. Plus, if you go and fix someone's car and the wheel falls off or the brakes don't work and they go through a hedge or a bus stop,
they're going to come back. And
they're coming back. And the problem is, then you've got all sorts of legal issues.
Yeah.
So the boss was always very supportive and said, look, guys, we'd prefer you to put it through the books. And this is what we're going to do. And they did that to help us out. But not everybody has that. In fact, I know for a fact, because that guy's not there, Pete Layton was his name, and his boss, the brand manager,
good guy,
Dave Littlewood, and neither of them, I think they still maybe do work together, but they're not there anymore. And I know for a fact if I went back tomorrow, that wouldn't be the case. So likelihood is, if you get someone to do the job for you at the weekend, something goes wrong, what do you do? And it's the chances are, if you're getting someone to do it for you, it's going to be your mate or your brother's mate or your sister's mate or your
and they could be really good.
Cousin.
They could be really good.
They could be really good, but everyone makes mistakes, right? But if it's done out of an insured environment, what do you do?
Well, that's it. And the one that always gets me, and I know doing brakes is not hard, but the number of times I've seen people doing brakes on the side of the road or somewhere, and I just think, got the thing lifted. Are we bleeding this properly? And do I have another person if I need to? Oh, I just get really queasy.
As a mechanic, brakes is kind of the first thing you really move on to. So certainly in the UK, when I was doing my motorsport training, we started with wheels and tyres, friction circles. It's the most important thing on a motorsport. Yeah. Any sort of motor racing requires you to understand friction circles and how that's managed and maximised with cars engineering and design. So we did wheels and tyres, and I mean 6 weeks on wheels and tyres for 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Wow. But then once the wheels are off, the next thing you see is brakes.
Yeah.
And you get onto it, and they are relatively straightforward. In fact, motorsport brakes, apart from with stuff like kinetic energy now, where they recuperate the kinetic energy and charge electric batteries and give overboost, they're relatively straightforward. But because of that, the mistakes that are made are shocking. Like you wouldn't believe. So you see,
I wouldn't think there'd be any mistakes.
No, all the time. So you'll have so most brakes are push-pull piston brakes with pads and discs. Right. Not always, but most.
But have drum brakes pretty much gone the way of the Dodo Bird on your standard everyday car?
Yeah, the thing is, drum brakes are really, really, really good. Yeah. But they just don't cool down and don't clean very well. So they're not as efficient in constant use. They're not as efficient as discs and pads. They're not as.
But man, they stop easy though.
Yeah, but they're just not serviceably.
All the dust collects in those drums, so it's like
so discs and pads came in and they give better everything really. Yeah. But they're so easy to make a mistake on. You have what looks simple, a couple of bolts to remove, but you can have situations where you might put the bolt back in and cross thread it, a very fine thread. Yeah. then what do you do? You've got to change the caliper carrier or the caliper, depending on how it's bolted together. You have situations where, and I've seen this. So everybody that's seen a brake pad may well have seen the ones where they have like a spring on the back, like a 3-pronged spring that is designed.
You know what people are going to be doing now, and this is a good thing. They're going to be taking a look at their brake pads when they.
Yeah, sure, and that's basically designed to fit inside the piston.
Okay.
To allow for resonance and hold it in position. I've seen people break those off to fit them in.
Oh, no.
And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You got the wrong fit there.
Situations where, the people have...
saying, you don't really need them anyway. They don't really. It's like, what? Then why did they put them on?
Putting copper grease on the wrong side of the pad because people understand that brakes squeak, but they misunderstand why. They think it's like rubbing your fingers across a table or a chalkboard with your nails. That's not what's basically, that's not really what's happening. It's a resonance. It's the vibration of the pad and the disc which cause the noise. It's not because the pad needs grease on it to stop it squeaking.
If you put grease on the pad, that's going to make it more slippery.
Reduces the friction, and the friction's what stops the car. So so all these problems, and then one of the biggest mistakes that's made, and 85% of brakes now are a compound that is certainly not got asbestos in it.
Yeah, those days are gone now.
Yeah,
right?
but they have now moved on to ceramic blend. So they have a lot of brakes now are ceramic.
What a ceramic blend? We were talking kind of like plates.
Well, yeah, but it's still in a fibrous sort of powdered form, if you like. We'll get Pete in to talk about this.
Yeah, we should do that. We got to get it.
Wire him in on Skype.
We could do that actually. So, you know what? This is getting better by the minute. I think on our next podcast we got to do a check in with Pete.
We'll put him in the next room just in case it don't work.
No, it'll work fine because we're going to get to the breaks, but now we've interrupted for a second.
Yeah.
This Roadcaster Pro, which is what it's called, mixer, allows us to Bluetooth in a mobile phone, call on the phone. We put it in as a separate channel. We can have a chat with them, both of us, that way. This is up the game.
Anyone that leaves us a rating, review, or comment, or wants to be involved, just leave your number. We'll call you.
We'll call you. We'll do. Get
you in. Time difference is allowing.
Forget it. We'll just call you anyway.
Okay. Yeah, especially if it's a negative review. If you're in California and you leave us a negative review, we're going to call you at midnight.
I was actually thinking we would call Dougie.
Where in Canada?
It's 3 a.m.
He's good.
He's probably up.
Yeah, he's probably fixing the banger for the weekend.
Yeah. Well, we'll call my brother first to make sure that I could, because I don't have Dougie's number. So we call my brother first at 3 a.m. He'll pick up, but we'll have some profanity, but that's okay. And
we'll time delay.
Yeah.
Well, we edit it.
And no, it would be even better if Tracy, his wife, picked up, because then we could just say, have you checked your car?
Don't call it a WRX.
Have you checked your car? We heard there's a washboard on the back.
We used to call the...
hang up.
I had a friend who had a Subaru. See, they call them the STIs, right?
Yeah.
So we used to call his car the gonorrhea, the clapmobile. Didn't like that.
It's STD, my friend. I guess infection. Yeah, instead of disease.
So, but yeah, anyone that wants to get involved, let us know. We'll call you.
I got a question. So we're talking ceramics and brakes, but I want to back up for a second. You were talking about the fine thread.
Yes.
That inevitably someone has misthread the bolts that are going in there.
Yeah.
How would they fix that? Like, what would their bodge fix be? And that's a call-in term, by the way, I've borrowed.
Oh yeah, by the way, Pajero for sale. Contact Colin Thompson.
You said there's 5. You told me it's 4.
4 or 5. Yeah.
Well, we did a record. The intro to that show. This is the We Will Fix It podcast, and it actually probably is live right now. We did probably 20 minutes talking about Pajeros, Nissan Patrol, and more before we actually got to the topic at hand. So
everyone's got their own vice. Collins tend to be Japanese vehicles.
And he was saying, and I guess you're in the same boat. He was saying that the Pajero, near as he can figure, they're not selling them now. They're not selling a new model in Australia. They're pretty much at the end of their leash.
Yeah. 15 years too late, because they never changed it, did they?
No, they didn't. I mean, I don't think 15 years too late. I think the guys back in Japan are sitting around the board table laughing, saying, "Can you believe we strung it out this far?
Can you believe we managed to get people to buy this?"
And hold on, they're going, not only have we managed to string it out this far, let's put out a signature edition just to see who's going to buy this thing, and just to say, in your face,
let's
baby.
Let's put gold badges on the back of it. Gold edition.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And make all the leather inside red.
It's crazy.
With white stitching.
Crazy. They must have just got a job lot. Just had a job lot of, they couldn't turn the machines off that were pressing the panels. Oh, what are we going to do with this? It's like 1999. Yeah. Maybe the Millennium Bug made the machines not turn off.
Oh, maybe.
So January 1st, 2000, they've got like 4 million Pajeros that they need to now build and sell. Yeah. That's basically what happened.
So back to the bodge fix. What because obviously if someone strips it, they don't want to go to their boss and say, "Oh, I hate to say it, but I've stripped these bolts." Now, an ethical mechanic will, and say, "Oh, we got a problem. It was an accident. I don't know." And hey, stuff happens.
Accidents do happen.
But there's going to be someone who's already done this 3 or 4 times. It's come out of their paycheck now. They're getting yelled at. They're on the end of the line, and they're going, "I can't go to the boss on this."
So the first thing the mechanic would do is you go to your mechanic's excuses book. So it's about 6. There's 6 volumes of it. I can't wait to see the electric vehicle one. That's going to be incredible, because you're going to have to know about like quantum mechanics. It's going to be incredible. Oh, it's going to be great.
It's going to be Stargate.
Yeah, it's just like code. It's just binary. So you get to the 2nd or 3rd page, and it was like that when I undid it. So the first thing you're saying is the last person that did the job cross-threaded it in, and I didn't know, and I pulled it out. Yeah. Now, I have undone bolts where they've pulled threads out. That's happened from time to time. A good example of one would be taking an exhaust manifold off. Sometimes a stud will break or stay in the head, or come out of the head, and you don't know which way it's going to go. You really don't know which way it's going to go. That's part of having basically a cast iron stud and an aluminium head. Typically, that just happens. So someone else did it.
Yeah, there we go.
You deal with all that. Now the repair is you've got to replace the bolt. That's the first thing you've got to do.
You've got to get the bolt out.
That's challenged and button. So if you've cross-threaded it on the way in, which is typically what happens, then you're replacing the bolt, and then you've got to drill out the hole and cut a new thread in it. Now, when you do that, you're going to have to oversize it. So then the standard bolt won't fit.
Right.
So the standard bolt, let's say it's 9mm, it would be on a VW caliper on like a Golf or something. You drill out the hole at 10, you then need a 10mm bolt.
Where are you going to get that?
So you put a helicoil in, which is actually a replacement. So it's basically a sleeve which is threaded.
Right, okay.
So that goes in and then keeps it so that you can fit the 9. Yeah. I've seen people drill the holes out and then put a bolt through with a nut on the back.
A nut on the back?
Yeah, to hold it in so there's nuts so they can't cut the threads in there. I've seen wood screws holding panels on. It's crazy.
Wood screws.
Yeah. So, these things do happen. Yeah. It's just the most important thing is that you fix it. Yeah. You've really got to fix it properly. Yeah. And to be quite honest, I do genuinely believe that if I went through a list of my most loyal sort of customers, or customers that might even be termed as friends, more than half of those will be down to the fact that at some point their vehicle was with a workshop that I was responsible for, and something went wrong. And I had to call them and explain. And because they were like, this guy's just called me and told me he did something wrong and he's going to fix it. That doesn't happen with mechanics. Yeah. They've thought,
they go to volume 3 of the mechanics excuse book.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're just thinking, well, this guy's honest. I'll just stick with this guy. And sometimes, from a purely business point of view, it could be the best thing you ever do, admitting to a mistake. Because we all make them.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Talk to my wife.
She'll tell you how many mistakes you make.
I've never done anything right.
Oh! I got one from my wife. You're gonna.
Okay.
This one. And
we're on thin ice here.
I have no answer to this one, and my wife is perpetually now mad at me because she's going.
She got whiplash when you brake test.
That too, but she's going. How do I get a hold of you? Well, I teach during the day, and I turn my ringer off on my phone and that.
I've done that yet.
She's going. So I can't phone you. No. So can I text you? No. Well, do you have your email on? No, I'm teaching. I don't have any of that stuff on. Well, when do you look at it? Well, I look at my email at the end of the day, maybe. Well, when do you look at Messenger? I said, Never. So maybe at the end of the day, well, when do you look at the SMSs I'm sending you? If I remember to turn on my phone at the end of the day when I'm leaving work and I check everything. So, well, how do I get a hold of you in the middle of the day when I have something to say? I said, well, call? Well, I can't call your phone. Call my office?
Do you know what?
It's like,
do you know?
But I'm trying to think. I'm going, actually, so you know what I said? I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you Richard, my colleague's email, because Richard is always on his email. So you email Richard and he'll say, hey, James, get a hold of your wife.
You've promoted Richard to your secretary, basically.
Pretty much. So I haven't told him this and I haven't given him the email because I know that he's going to freak.
How easy did our dads have it?
I know.
Do you know what, right? I remember.
They couldn't get a hold of him.
We live near like a country park called Hardwick. And if like sort of in the summer when our football season had finished, so there was no game to watch or for me or my brothers to play in, my dad would sort of take us out of the house, and Sunday was like a traditional in the UK especially, it's like big Sunday dinner, so it takes like 17 hours for my mum to cook it, and we all eat it in 30 minutes and then do the rest, and then she washes up for the rest of the 4 or 3 hours whatever she's got left before she needs to go to sleep, get us up for school the next day. So my dad would sort of quote unquote help out by taking us out of the house.
Right.
So in the morning on a Sunday we'd go out of the house and he'd take us to Hardwick Park. We'd take football with us, have a kick around, and he'd obviously be involved because he didn't have a phone to play with.
Yeah.
And then we'd go from there, and we had a pub at the end of our road.
Of course.
So we'd call into the pub.
Yeah.
My dad was well known. He's, you know, it was a small village.
Yeah.
And we'd sit in the pub, and he'd be like, Dad, what time's dinner? And he'd say, 12:31 normal. 1:15. 1:30, and then there's this deafening like fire alarm bell ring from behind the bar, and the barman without fail would shout, Polly, it's your wife. He used to call my dad Polly, it's your wife. She'd ring the pub to find him, you know, and you know that's just the way. But how easy did they have it?
Yeah.
I'd like to have been around when. What do you think people thought of when the first phones, like just normal phone on your desk, was invented? Like how, if you're at your office at the uni and I want to get hold of you, I wouldn't just walk into the office. Chances are your door's open, but if it's shut, I wouldn't just walk in. Even if it was open, I'd give it a knock and be like, "Hi, James, can I come in?"
Yeah.
But I can just ring you and make a horrific noise in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you're obliged to answer it. And the anxiety of, well, I can't answer it right now.
Yeah, well, that's the other side, right?
You know, it's like I've just thought when you said you thought, oh man, have I turned my phone on silent? It's a good job I have, because I've had 3 missed calls and 8 messages from 4 WhatsApp chats.
Yeah. Just
in the time we've been sat down.
Oh man, the amount of time I spend just going through the messages that I'm getting from everyone, it's like
shocking, right?
And it's like, well, can I call you? I say, well, I'm podcasting, so that's 4 hours of my life that you can't. Well, there might be a break, and maybe I'll look, but so my problem with my wife, and I'll let you get into a segment, but my problem is so it's like, send me SMS.
That was a dangerous sentence, by the way, to lead in. The problem with my wife.
The problem with my wife's communication.
No. Okay, good.
is she wants to, she's sending it, you know, she's just spamming me through any technique. I said, well, I'm only looking at my email at the end of the day. WhatsApp is a whole other thing. Just send me an SMS message. And if I know that's the only way you're going to send stuff, I'll check the SMS when I've got a break. But if it's all through all these, I'm not looking at all of them, partially because if I open up my WhatsApp and I don't give myself the time, I could have 20 WhatsApp messages, of which 5 I really need to answer, and that 5 might take me 5 minutes each. That's 25 minutes of my life. So out of pure fear, I just wait.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, obviously, without, you know, not wanting to sound sort of misogynist or anything, I mean, I'm probably worse with my wife than she is with me when I can't get hold of her.
Oh, my wife's easy to get hold of.
I'm just like constantly, I'll ring the phone. So Amy always has a phone on silent, which is the first annoying thing. So I'm ringing, and on the 3rd attempt of trying to get through to her, because I'm at the takeaway or I'm in the supermarket and she's asked for something and there's 19 different types of it.
Yep. Send me the picture,
and
please.
It's like, what is the point of a mobile phone? And then when she rings back 24 minutes later, it's like, oh, sorry, my phone was upstairs. Well, it's a mobile phone. So I'm worse than she is with me, to be fair. But it is, oh man, I wish I was around when there was no mobile. I wish I was a professional when there was just no mobile phones.
I remember that. I remember a lot of these times. I remember one year, because we didn't have a mobile phone. Like, so this was early days here in the UAE. So we did have a mobile phone, but we didn't have roaming. So when we left the UAE, so this might be 2005. We were in Europe and we were traveling around France with the boys. We got like a Peugeot 206, full luggage, and we're doing like a summer in France in this 206 with my boys are little, so it was great. So we could fit all of our luggage in and food and whatever because we were, doing those. What's the name of those camping group things? They're like Grays.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we ended up at a lot of places where they had those kinds of things, which were unaffordable, so we didn't stay in those camping things. But we were at one where the tents were twice the cost of staying in like a little cabin. But the cabin was on a little bit of a bluff in this park, but it was half the price.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going, well, why aren't people staying in the cabin? It's raining. Why are they staying in the cabin? The cabin is dry, and the tents are getting soaked, and I'm spending half the price anyway. And so I remember we're there. We didn't have a mobile phone. Internet was spotty, and we planned to meet someone at a bridge on a certain day at a certain time. And our only goal was to make sure we were at this, medieval bridge because we were going to meet someone to have lunch. And we planned it, 2 months before. And I said, yeah, we're going to meet you there. Okay, no problem. And how are we going to confirm? There's no confirmation. This is it. This is the confirmation. Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah.
And literally at the agreed upon time, we were there. We're standing there. 2 minutes later, our friend shows up.
You were never worried about anyone turning up, though?
No.
You never worried, right?
There was no...
Nobody could be flaky before mobile phones.
Yeah.
I can remember there was a couple of kids in our school, because I was at school before the phone. My first phone, I was like 13, 99, 2000, 13, 14. Okay. And, I used to walk 5 or 6 miles, maybe a little bit more to school and stuff, and that was just what we did. Yeah.
With shoes or without?
The bus fare was 80 pence a day.
Okay, there you go.
By the end of the week, that's £4.
Yeah, you can save cash.
Yeah, well, you get a lot.
You walk, that's what, 40 minutes walk?
Yeah, we do it in less than an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so because of that, it's like, okay, give them a phone. Everyone sort of had them.
Yeah.
And it was like, but before that, and even then, you'd run out of credit.
Yeah.
You run out of credit straight away. You're sending messages what you're doing, sat next to the person.
Yeah.
Trying to make pictures in the symbols section, so the picture looks right on your phone, but then by the time you've sent it to someone else's phone, it's all jumbled anyway. Yeah. That's 12 pence gone. So we would just like, you couldn't be flaky. You'd be like, yeah, I'll see you tonight at the park at 6.
Yeah.
And at no point did you worry I'm going to turn up and no one's there.
Yeah.
But now you can ring, like you could ring me at 10 and say, I'll see you at 10:30. Yeah, no problem. But you'd be checking your phone until 10:30 when I walk through the door, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So yeah,
no, it's you're right. We've got this now flaky attitude, and I always laugh at the one with Andrew. Andrew Thomas, digitalx.com does tech talk with us.
Yeah,
he's always late. I mean, he's actually on time when he comes to do the podcast because I do them like first thing in the morning. But he's leaving to go to a meeting and he's telling me, "Oh, I'm always late." It's like, dude, that's not a good moniker to have on you. It's like, yeah, Andrew Thomas, but he's always going to be late. It's like,
yeah, well, fashionably late and all that.
I don't know. I like to be early for everything.
No, there's a lot to be answered for with. In fact, if you could bring somebody back, it'd be that Bell guy.
Hey, I've been to the Alexander Graham Bell Museum.
Get him, re-engineer his DNA, whatever you need to do. Bring him back. He's a lot to answer for.
Well, one day you gotta when you hit Canada with the family and you go to Nova Scotia and you go to Cape Breton Island. Now, Nova Scotia, New Scotland, basically Graham Bell finished his life there because the weather was just like Scotland. Huge mosquitoes, lots of bad weather, and it wasn't very hot. But the stuff the guy invented outside the phone, desalination. He had a whole desalination system. He had the fastest, but he invented the hydrofoil boat and did world speed records early on. Like the guy was a machine with the invention, and he had the Andrew Thomas beard, so it was pretty phenomenal.
Let's keep him warm.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So yeah, I mean,
by now we become lazy.
But back to brakes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to look back at that.
Digression over.
Like, people are probably going, what? How did we get here?
Digression. I mean, the best thing is most people disagree with everything I say. So at least hopefully we should get some comments.
So we were Morgan Beck. We're talking about how we're going to get the man on, but
so we'll get
we were talking ceramics.
The single biggest mistake that people ever make with brakes is the road test. So back in the day, it was sort of rule of thumb, common knowledge to say loosely use the term. Fit some new brakes, take them down the road and hammer them and get them hot and bed them in. You can't do that with new brakes.
Does not sound like a good
Can't
idea.
do that with new brakes, especially if the car's an automatic, because you get them hot. That's not good for a start, because most of them are coated, and that coating needs time to help bed them in together. Disc and
I
pads.
didn't realize that. I mean, this is a huge issue, because I think people like me are thinking brakes. I'm thinking back to shop days when we would actually do some of this in auto shop at school.
Yeah.
And the whole change in brake pad technology
it's crazy.
has never come in. And so you're operating on, that exactly. Let's go give her.
Yeah.
Let's get these
them
brakes
hot and bed them in.
And you don't do that anymore. People are still doing it, though.
Even sort of on some of the more basic, smaller vehicles when I was in VW, sort of around 2006-07, they were still on on the base Polos and the Fox. They'd still have not basic, but sort of older technology brakes that you would give a fair bit of welly to get them bedded in. But you can't do that now, and especially if the car's an automatic.
And what if you do that? What happens?
Well, then you get material transfer from the pad to the disc. So as soon as you hammer the brakes, and at the point of stopping,
it's like pedal to the metal. If you're from Canada, I'm just gonna put it right to the floor.
Yeah. So you
Lock them up,
and then you thrash.
Which doesn't do anything though if you've got ABS. If you pedal to the metal, the ABS.
Yeah, but you still if you get the ABS to kick in, then great. But that's probably a good thing. But the problem is once they get hot, and then you come to that point of the vehicle actually stopping.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a split second before you release the brake pressure, which you're not going to do in an automatic, which is why I say it's important you definitely don't do this in automatic. Even if it's just a half a second or a second between the car stops and you release the brake, material transfers from the pad to the disc. So then effectively the disc is not a flat surface anymore. Then you go down the road and the brakes are squeaking, they're vibrating. A lot of people put it down to warped brake discs, but more often than not now, it's just material transfer. Really? So you'll sometimes go up to a car and you might get
a misdiagnosis. You're going, you got warped disc brakes.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same fix. It's the same fix. Really, you should be replacing the disc. Now here...
Are discs expensive?
They can be, yeah.
Oh, all right.
They can be. Now here they are quite a common practice to put them on a lathe and machine them down to get them true again.
But you can't take that much off if you're going to put them on a lathe.
No, you should be able to do enough to get the material transfers rectified.
Do you have the lathe in your shop?
Two of our shops do.
Okay.
Most of the time we would just use an engineering workshop to do it for us.
Is the person who's using those typically, if I'm at a garage and they've got a lathe, is this a machine that's working off an AI technique, or does it actually come down to the user to make sure?
No, it's just very, very, so it's very, very fine micrometer measurements and vernier caliper measurements that you basically put the disc on, set it true, and that's it.
Wow, okay. So there's some skill to it.
Yeah, still quite a skilled operation, but it's not something that I recommend for all cars, and it certainly was a new thing to me here, and I don't really like doing it. There's no manufacturer that will tell you skim the brake discs down. They'll say if there's a fault, change them, because they can't
guarantee it.
They can't guarantee that. That's down to an operator. So.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like electrical repairs. Electrical repairs, a lot of people just say, okay, I'm good with the soldering iron, I'm going to solder those wires together. Now, the problem is...
They're pretty thin.
If we both work for VW, and I'm soldering a wire here, and you're soldering a wire there, there's not going to be standardised.
Yeah.
So then yours might be fixed, but mine might have a recurring problem. And that's not a standardised repair, and Volkswagen can't... So... They have the crimp connectors that can be heat shrunk down, so they know for a fact that repair now it's compromised, because solder in a lot of cases would be better.
Yeah, but
it's compromised, and it allows then for a standard repair. There's nothing wrong with that repair, but it allows for a standardised repair. There's other issues with flux and stuff that solders added to circuits, and it's not great. But ultimately, it's about standard repair.
Yeah.
So
back to the brakes.
Biggest issue with brakes really now is road test and how people use. And Pete will tell you, and I'll try not to prompt him, but now you fit some brakes, they come with hangers, they're brakes that we put around the rearview mirror that will say brake performance will be less than expected or less than previous for 5 to 1,000 kilometres.
That's a lot. 5 to 1,000 kilometers.
Still perfectly safe.
Yeah.
But noticeably,
it's breaking in.
More of a different feel than man, it's taken another 25 meters to stop. That's not happening.
Okay.
Perfectly safe. Stopping within a fraction of a percent in the same kind of way, but they'll feel a little bit different. They might feel a little bit more spongy. There might be a couple of squeaks. There might be a little bit of a vibration, but ultimately they'll bed in, and then that's that.
And did you? I guess Pete and yourself must get people who come back who've been driving their car. They're used to the feel, and they say, "Hey, you just did the brakes, and they're spongy." Or, I'm hearing a sound.
I had this conversation with Pete, and that's why they put the hanger in now.
Yeah,
so all the boxes of discs and pads have these hangers in that you put in there to just educate the customer. Yeah.
And just let them know that, hey, this is what's going to happen. And after 1,000K, if you're still experiencing that, come back in, we'll take another look. But no, this is the way the new product works. And sorry, there's no instant off the shelf. It's broken in.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless someone had used it for 1,000 kilometers and they give it to you with 1,000 kilometers of use on it, which who wants that?
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. And if it's the mechanic that's going to be using it for 1,000 kilometers, then he's not productive for the rest of the day. So his boss doesn't want it.
Can you imagine? Well, then they're using the vehicle on the weekend on the way home.
Well, that might work.
That always worries me. I mean, I don't mind if folks are test driving it and you want to test drive it over the weekend, but often I'd like to know that you're going to be test driving my vehicle over the weekend.
Yeah, that's something that I've done that in the past. We've had that situation where in the UK and here where we've had let's say a strange problem or a problem that the customer can't always replicate, but knows it happens, and he or she might say to us, well, driving the car, and after 30 minutes or so, if I'm sat in traffic and then I try and accelerate away, it jerks, or there's a knocking noise every now and again, or
and that makes
the radio
common
cuts
sense.
off, or the transmission fault light comes on, but it doesn't store anything in the memory. So then in that case, we come to an agreement, okay, well, I will drive the car.
Yeah. Let me drive the car for the weekend. I'm going to use it. I'm going to hear this. I'm going to witness it, and I'll diagnose for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to say no to that?
No, it does happen. It does happen. We have done it. I've been left stranded and broken down in cars where I've been doing that.
Yeah.
That's just unfortunately what happens. So, but you definitely want to know that somebody's doing it, and you should really... if you are going to do that for a customer, or if you are the customer that's potentially accepting that path, you really need to know, okay, like for us here, has it got prepaid tolls?
Yeah. That becomes a big one.
You go through the tolls. You don't want to get speeding fines.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into an accident, a crash, which all are potential things when you're driving someone else's car.
So one of the issues for us is the customer comes in and says, "Oh, there's a lot of buffering, or there's a wheel wobble, or a body vibration, or there's a noise from the stereo, or whatever at 140, 150 kilometers an hour."
My car never gets
do that.
My car never gets to 150, so I couldn't tell you.
There's a stretch of road going into Abu Dhabi where we can do 140.
Yeah.
But we can't do more than that. And that's 50 kilometres away.
Yeah, it's not happening.
So, okay, it's all right, just take it out on the I always do that.
Yeah.
Then we get the speeding fine, and then what do you say to the customer? So there's certain things that you can and you can't do, unfortunately.
Yeah, if my car's making a weird sound at 150 kilometers, it can stay there, because if I get the Wrangler up to 150...
sound that's being made at 150 in the Wrangler is you cheering.
Yeah, it's me going, woohoo!
Exactly.
That's it.
And your wife bracing herself for another brake test.
Yeah, here we go.
Pulling the handle off the ceiling.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I got an annoying one, and actually it's in the notes, and it's not for me, but I got this one, and so my vehicles are 2008, 2009. Made that mistake. They're both really the same age.
Yeah.
Never do that again. I've learned a hard lesson by doing that. I mean, I love my vehicles, don't get me wrong. That smile on my face every single day. But everything that happens in one happens in the other. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And the one that I've got now, ongoing, it's been years, is the tire sensors for the pressure. And we've spoken about this for years because they're battery operated.
Yep.
And you can't change the batteries, and I think by now all of the batteries have worn out, so I get false readings all the time, and I get that darn buzzer that goes off every now and then, boom, 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 and as it cycles through each of the tires, telling me that I've got low pressure. And of course, I check the pressure every week or twice a week just to make sure and things. But it's annoying, and I keep wondering. I noticed on one of the other items that we've got on here, 15 surprising details that Ford hides inside its pickup trucks, and one of those things was you can turn off that.
Yeah,
you can turn off the sensor,
yeah.
and I'm thinking my car doesn't have that option. Although you can go in with the electronics and you can put in some infinity number, but it still eventually will hit that number because it does so many tests.
Yeah,
it's like, is there not a way to just take those things off? And if they're not there, that it goes, oh, we have nothing to test.
So depending on the car and how the equipment specification is stored basically in the car. So you can buy a Wrangler with tire pressure monitoring. You can also buy a Wrangler without.
Yeah, I'd like the one without.
So if that's part of the code, so then in theory you would go in and code it out.
Right.
So you tell the body control or whichever system is responsible for monitoring that no, this car doesn't have TPMS, so forget it.
Maybe next time I bring it in, I'll get you guys to go in.
So in theory, you
that.
can code it out. On a lot of the European cars, you can turn the monitoring system off.
Yeah.
But it still gives you that initial startup warning sometimes to say
I don't mind that.
TPMS off, but then the light won't be on.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting thing to know. I mean, there's pros and cons to tune this. I mean, in my case, it's just an old vehicle and it just drives me nuts.
The sensor one for me is I'm a bit. I don't really like the idea of the sensors. I
don't understand how they work.
It's a radio signal that just gives the pressure reading to the. So
that's
VCM.
all it is. It's just like a little Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, the problem you have is there's 4 sensors, and if you've got a spare, often 5 sensors that will go
the back tire
that will fail, and then I just don't like that. And
so,
then
here's what I can't figure out. And I'm just thinking either I am the smartest guy on the planet or there's a legitimate reason why they couldn't do this. But you remember those Rolex watches that self-wind?
Yeah.
Or the Omegas that self-wind? Why wouldn't they put a mechanism in these tires that as it's going around, friction causes something to do this little self-winding that actually generates just the microcharge that it needs to charge up the battery?
I would say, first of all, cost prohibitive.
Yeah, you think?
Maybe more likely, though, the fact that they get really hot.
Yeah, maybe.
Really,
I could generate the electricity, no?
Yeah.
Maybe
I think they'd struggle to do that. I mean, the one that I like is the one that uses the rolling radius.
Yeah, there we go.
Uses the ABS sensor that's already on the car anyway, and then detects, okay, this wheel's spinning at this speed. It must be inflated to this pressure. They're not as accurate, so you don't get a reading of this is the exact PSI of the tyre, but you will get a warning to say that's looking low.
Yeah, see, I like that.
Yeah, and that's the one I prefer, and that's the system that is kind of, it's using existing technology that's already there for another reason, just putting it to a second use.
I like multitasking. I think that's good. Whereas what I've got now is just a pain in the neck.
I don't really particularly like them. When you're talking 300-400 dirhams to replace one.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at 5 tires needed, and I'm going, really? Do I want to? I mean, at that point, I've got another 17,000 dirhams worth of repairs I could do on the car, right? If I really wanted to do something, like I could put that money in the bank, waiting for the catalytic. And don't forget, I have 2 of these vehicles, so that's 4 catalytic converters at some point that are going to need to be done.
Yeah, they've got the uses, and unfortunately now you have to have them. European law certainly says that all vehicles have to have tire pressure monitoring.
And you had that issue when you were with your rental with the tire pressure monitors, and then it started sending weird signals, and then the car responded to those, and your ABS was activating.
Yeah, they should. It just makes everything way more complicated.
Yeah.
Problem solved is a problem caused.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I did have a question though, also about aftermarket bumpers, and we were talking about Yaris's and that, and I thought, wouldn't a Yaris with a big chrome bumper look nice? Oh. Can we buy those?
Should ban chrome on cars.
Can we? I love chrome on cars. No. I saw an F-150 yesterday that was chrome bumper, chrome on the side trimming. It was the most beautiful vehicle I've ever seen.
Sick of getting blinded by chrome bumpers. Sick of it. Especially sitting higher up in the van.
Maybe you're just too close.
Nah, actually you're better off close. Helps to tailgate, because I'm higher up in the van. You're sick of it, and it's like, what is that? And then you realise it's a Hilux pickup that's got a chrome bumper. Great.
I was thinking chrome on a Yaris. Now that would be awesome. No. Chrome bumper on a Camry.
No.
No.
I think No.
But you know. So here's the thing: if I'm going to go with a chrome bumper, and I'm going to get that chrome bumper on my whatever vehicle it is, maybe on the Wranglers, could I take the bumpers that are off now, just chrome them, and then put them back on? And will they pass RTA testing? Do you think? Will they accept it as a?
Your bumpers are
Mine are plastic, which is a problem.
black. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not body coloured.
No.
Well, in theory, you can chrome them then.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, if they were body coloured and you painted them, or chromed them, that was different, then you might have to change the colour. So the registration card would say burgundy and chrome or whatever. So but if they're not body coloured anyway, then in theory you could chrome them.
And so the RTA would have no issues with that.
They should say that's a hazard on the road because it's constantly sunny here and you're blinding people.
Well, it's bad enough it'd be a big yellow, nice, no mods done except for the chrome everywhere.
That would be good though, yeah. If you left everything else sort of as it is and then just had immaculate chrome bumper on it, that would be good.
Can you picture it? I can picture this too.
It'd be good.
Yeah.
To see what people would think. That'd be great.
I would be the talk.
It's like, I'm not spending 2,000 dirhams on tyre pressure sensors, but this chrome bumper cost me 20 grand. But I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah, so people will be saying, you're a contradiction.
I had a customer this week that didn't want to replace the upper suspension arms.
But
the quote was 2,500 dirhams, to be fair. They're expensive. But
each?
What can you do? No, for the whole job.
Okay, but you need upper suspension arms.
But they spent 1,600 dirhams on a full body polish and interior valet.
How does that work?
What do you do?
What do you do? It's like, that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I got asked the legit questions of, are the tyres wearing out unevenly yet? No, not yet. Did you notice anything excessive with play or is there a noise? Well, not really, but I'm not going to see you in theory for another 10,000 kilometers. By then there's going to be okay, leave it, I'll keep my eye on it, but I need the body polish and the cleaning doing. Fair play.
What do you say to that?
Did my best.
It's gonna fail within 10,000 kilometers, and I mean, if you're sure the person's going to come in 10,000 kilometers, they might not.
No.
And then they're going to have a big problem.
They're not going to make 10,000 kilometers,
but they're going to be in a clean car,
well cleaned.
Yeah.
Really clean, like eat your dinner off of it.
I actually need to get some seat work done. Where do you got to do that? I mean, so in one of my vehicles, I got seat covers on one of my Wranglers, but it's just wear and tear on the side of the seat. Where you kind of
get in and out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the foam has come apart, it's torn a little bit, and I have a seat cover on. But I always think, man, I should just get this fixed. But I don't know if I can. I haven't even investigated it.
You can get it fixed, for sure. Colin will probably tell you the same people I'd tell you, which is Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah
I know those guys.
Back at Times Square.
Yeah,
they'll rebuild the foam, replace the foam is probably necessary, and they'll recover it.
Pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Depending on how much of it you need to do or what you decide to do.
Just the side part, like the other part of the seat is
a few hundred dirhams, I would think.
I'm going to go check that out because it's just getting annoying.
And then to stop it happening again, you have to Starsky and Hutch every time you get in.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
I almost do that now. It's like I was thinking, because I got the half doors, I kind of just like to hop out the door.
That's it. So then it'll never happen again.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually was showing some students the wedding picture one. I don't know why I was showing them this, but I was showing them the wedding picture, and I had the full perm going down, Starsky and Hutch
nice.
perm. Yeah, I know. They said, "Is that your natural hair?" No, I got it curled. And they're going, "Why?"
You got to get that on the Podaholiks website.
Look at how good I look
on the profile.
Well, folks come over to the house and they look at the picture wall, and
what's James' sister doing?
No, it's hilarious because they look at my wife and they say, "Yeah, she looks the same." And it's like, why do you have different hair in every photo? It's like, you got Guy Fieri going on over here. You got hair down to your halfway down your back over here. And then you got this perm going on. Like, you have no haircut the same on this wall. How is that possible? I said, well, that's the way we roll.
Just, fashion, right?
Fashion. I think the Guy Fieri was the best. Platinum blonde, go at it, spiked up.
Can't beat it.
It was good, but
I mean, he's still rocking it though.
Now you got the gray. Now he's got the full gray going, and he's still doing that. And I keep thinking,
sticking it out.
Yeah,
so he's in fact for the long haul.
He's staying with it. That's his brand, and I want to go back there. But the problem is, you blonde out or you platinum out. The only way to get it back to the normal color that it is shave it all off and start fresh.
Yeah,
Which you've done before. I've done that, but I don't know if I want to do it again.
Well,
it's
why
it's
is
an
that
investment.
like, worry whether it's going to grow back?
Nah, I'm not worried. It grew back thicker, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea. You let it get a little bit longer, then you got some room to play with. And Waffy used to have in behind it. So there's the Waffy residence, and then there's that business tower behind it. They have a salon school there. I went there a couple times and had let the folks have some fun with the hair. And that's always fun.
Yeah.
They have someone, it's kind of like an apprentice mechanic, someone supervising them. I remember one time I went in for a perm. The lady took like an hour to put all the rollers in the hair. And then the supervisor came over and said, "Oh, you did it backwards." And so she took them all. Yeah, but so this
the
lady.
The backwards thing about it, James, is it wasn't 1980.
Yeah, the thing was, so the lady who put them in took her an hour. The instructor comes back over. She does it in 7 minutes. Takes them all out, puts them all back in. So it's like, it was a learning experience. I'm just sitting there just, having a coffee.
I don't know how I feel about an apprentice barber.
No, it was...
Apprentice mechanic's one thing. Apprentice barber with scissors and stuff.
As long as they're not, talking with their hands too much.
Yeah. What do you do about, like, would you let an apprentice barber give you a wet shave? Somebody's got it, right?
I don't know.
Do you think they make them get the grandparents in?
I'm thinking so.
You better do this careful.
I think they have to practice on a balloon first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you do it. That's how you learn it. You practice on a balloon first.
Yeah.
You should be asking
how do you make the balloon grow hair?
Yeah. Well, you just practice. You just put some shaving cream on the balloon, and you just practice taking it across the skin.
There's the pressure there.
Because if you break
I'm not happy with that. You need to get some people in that are like really important to them.
Then just get it go. We were actually having this conversation yesterday about aftershave, and I ended up bringing back my aftershave now from Canada. Menon Skin Bracer, it's called.
Wow.
It is. It's basically like putting pure gasoline on your face after you're shaved. I mean, that but it's got this particular smell, and it smells like the barbershop when I was growing up.
I don't know where they get their stuff from. They come at me with this it's like a rock of some kind.
Oh, yeah.
They burn it.
Oh no.
And then if they've cut you or they've done something, it's like you can't feel your face for 4 weeks. When you can feel your face, best go back for another one. I don't know what that is.
Oh man.
Better than high karate though.
Yeah, we were talking about cars, right?
We have done at some point in this podcast. Yeah. I mean, I just want to while we're off subject.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Doc Talk one with I forget the lady's name that was with Dr. Jenner last time.
Cheryl.
Yes, that looks like a good subject.
That one is coming up. So typically, I think we're moving to I've totally not discussed this with anyone, but I was thinking that we need to be consistent, and we pretty much are consistent on our shows. Tend to come out Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, but I think we're going to move to a Sunday-Thursday schedule. So 2 shows a week come up, but this week is not that week. So so we're still on the 3, but it's going to go to the 2. Yeah. And so I put one up today, and I think Dr. Jenna's chat with Cheryl comes up on Thursday. That's when it'll.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that was a good conversation actually, and I say that only because I was there. But it's funny when you're doing the podcast, you're chatting, and it's interesting how much you don't realize you were talking about until you listen to it again.
Yeah.
And as I was putting it all together, I was listening to parts of it. I was going, man, that's a really good conversation.
Yeah, when I saw that was coming up, I do find that subject interesting. I think it's a good one, and it's getting less and less taboo now.
No, and it was really interesting talking with Cheryl. Like I left that conversation going, man, you know what? We all need to. And her thing is actually she's really promoting this, and she wants to promote it more with Dubai government and others. It's just saying, you have your once a year 1 hour mental checkup, and you just kind of go and sit down and have a chat and get things off your chest, and and maybe there's stuff bugging you, and you just have someone who's just listening and offering you some advice. And I just thought, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah, I mean the fact of the matter is that a bit like with the way we go with cars now, technology and everything around technology that affects our lives positively mainly, but not always, has advanced way quicker than we've managed to advance our evolution of our brain.
Yeah,
so it affects mental health in ways that how we would. There's no way to manage it on your own these days. You have to just have that. Let's go and talk to somebody. A bit, people in our body shop have to get a health check every 6 months because of the dust and stuff they're working with.
There we go.
Everybody should be aware of this, and there's no reason to be sort of stiff upper lip. Yeah. Certainly in a British way of just, if it's raining, take an umbrella sort of thing. That had its time and its use in the 30s and 40s in wartime and stuff like that. But now when you've got, I'm gonna open my phone in 10 minutes time and think, right, which of these 75 messages do I reply to? Because if I do the wrong one first, I'm going to be replying to their reply before I've got to the second one.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's stress.
That is not a good thing.
No,
and
exactly.
I think people that are willing to talk about that it's great. And the reason I brought that up was the fact that I get the notification on social media because obviously I follow Podaholiks, Instagram and Twitter.
Podaholiks with a K, by the way.
And I always listen. I sometimes even listen to the one we do.
I think you're going to take over the social media posting. I think that's going to be your. Yeah, I think so.
No, my wife's number. I'll give you my wife's number.
Yeah, I think we get your wife on that.
But
no, I'm serious. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Have a chat with her.
Let's have a go at it.
Yeah.
But I always follow it and I always see what's coming up and sometimes I see Jenna's social media post, which is probably where I got the info for this show because it's not even up yet.
No,
but
it's not up yet.
Obviously,
we would have posted that we did it and some photos of the doc.
If anyone listens to this show, they're listening to this show when it's up, but we're recording it's not up.
No, it's not up yet. But
time travelers.
But it is up though. So head to Podaholiks with a K, and you can do that in so many ways.
Yeah.
iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Podbucket, Pod Republic, Radio Republic. Boom, it's all there. Just Google us, Podaholiks with a K,
and we've kind of got most things covered. I mean, you don't really need the car show one, but we don't talk about cars all the time.
We got a new show that we're going to be adding.
Okay.
And this one, I'm not actually sure what the show's about yet.
Not 3 guys in a hot tub, though.
Maybe. That'll be the other new show. No, the new show is I think I've recruited someone else to join us. A very popular personality in Dubai.
Sheikh Mohammed.
I wish. I was hoping Fazal would join us, but if I could get him over here, he might. You never know. He's a kind of a cool guy.
Very cool.
I was thinking the third most important person on the airwaves in this nation, Mr. Tim Elliott.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
cool.
So we were talking the other day actually.
Much missed actually.
He said, you got to get together for a coffee, and I said, man, and then I said, guaranteed coffee every week is if you show up and do a podcast with me. And he sort of said, I'd love to, and the irony is, here's the irony, is when I was working at Dubai Eye, there's 2 people I always wanted to do a show with, Tim Elliott and Richard Dean. And we wanted to do one together. The 3 of us do a show.
Tim Elliott is, he was the man.
Yeah. No, he's the man.
I always listened to the Drive show when he was on it.
Yeah. So my fear is he's also the technology guru. So he's going to watch how I put together this podcast and he's going to go.
So he's the Skype guy.
Yes.
Don't let him in.
Yeah.
Because before you know it, James, before you know it, we're out.
That'd be good. He'd be taking over and I'd just have to show up and talk.
No. Get him on Skype. Keep him at arm's length.
Our next podcast, we're going to call into him and we're going to do a we can call it a voice test with Tim Elliott and see if he fits us.
Fair play. So, I missed out when we were doing the Dubai.
And he drives a turd. He drives a turd as well.
Yeah, well, we know.
An FJ Cruiser turd.
TRD, yeah. I missed out on doing a spot for their show when I did your show. They emailed me to the wrong email address. And by the time I'd figured that out and contacted them, they got some other sucker in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so we will call through to him on our next podcast. Yeah. That'll be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in that sense, I think we got to wrap this one. It's been Car Clinic. If you've been wondering what you're listening to, of course, and this is the best part, because we've got Glenn Power from Sundance Automotive here, and you're listening to us somehow through some delivery system. Hit the rating. Fire in a comment, whatever you want to put, but do it. Let us know how we're doing. If you want to get in touch with us, podaholiks with a K at gmail.com. Let us know. Get in touch. You got something you want us to cover. You got something to say. Do so. We'll
get in touch back and we'll try and put the reviews and comments to good use. And 1 star or 5 star makes no difference to us. They're all valued.
We just want to hear you're listening and share the link. Let people know we're doing this because
and chances are you didn't like this one. You'll like one of the health show ones. You'll like the tech one. You'll like Colin's one. Just don't listen to mine again. that's fine, but give us a chance.
The problem is I sort of transit through all of them, so they could just be saying, "This Piecowye guy, just stop talking, man."
You don't get always a chance to talk.
No, I try to sit back.
Yeah, and you do. You still do your 10 minutes with Colin. Oh, that needs to be your next button, right?
I've got to do that button this week. I didn't think about putting that one in. But that'll be the next one.
Yeah, I said to Amy about doing the 10 minutes with me. And
okay, I'll put that one in too. 10 minutes with Glenn.
I'm not going to tell you what she said, but it went along the lines of 10 minutes. Yeah, rolled her eyes. Chance to be a fine thing, sort of thing. So maybe that's one for the health show. Maybe that's one for the health show.
So speaking of the health show, we were having a conversation. It was funny how these things come into the conversation, right? And it was just in passing because you know that I constantly say to Dr. Jenna, about jokingly that maybe we need a few prostate exams done, and
we don't.
No, but it was funny because I don't know what we were talking about. And she was just going, I just doing medical stuff for friends. It's just kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if she was kind of underhandedly saying, yeah, there's no way I'm doing any prostate exams for any of you guys because let's just keep that.
Well, I'm hoping she would say that. We do need to keep.
But I wanted to do them live on air just so we can have.
Doctors have to deal with people dying, right? So surely they don't want to work with their friends.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Yeah.
And I mean, we're upgrading ourselves to being a friend of hers.
Dr. Jenna, yeah.
Probably way off the mark with that, but they don't want to be dealing with things like that with people they know.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not involved in that. I'm not in the age window yet for that.
You know what? But you're always in the age window. But it's funny because I had lots of friends who were doctors, never went to them. And in fact, Andrew used to go and see Dr. Sue Norton here. And a lot of folks might have known Sue Norton when she was here. And a friend of ours knew her. Kids did hockey together. I never went to her as a doctor though. It's like that would be awkward.
Yeah,
she was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Yeah, no,
small talk.
Small talk is like, no.
Then you got to sit across from them at the next dinner date.
You're sitting across the next dinner date and shaking their head. Like, I feel sorry for your wife. It's like,
you're a mess. Yeah, you need fixing.
Yeah, it's like, what? What do you mean? It's like, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Well, what a digression.
Well, yeah. We've had everything.
Par for the course.
And just to finish it off, Walking Dead was rubbish.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Don't bother. Just forget about it.
Really?
It's rubbish. They had such potential. It's rubbish.
Nothing with Alpha? Nothing? Negan's back?
Rubbish.
Really?
There's one classic scene, which is incredible.
Is it a Negan scene? Or?
Which is when it happened, my wife said, imagine when it cuts back if she's doing this. And then when it did, and that was what was happening, it was like, you've got to watch it. But anyway, it was shocking.
Do you think they lost the plot? They've just...
Yeah, they're too scared to do anything crazy, and it needed, it needs to be sort of just get rid of something and move on.
There we go.
But anyway, well, that's maybe next week's.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Glenn, I'm out of here.
Bye.